Hello kiddos, this is Mr. B, and this is my third attempt to record your how-to art. Today is Monday, May 17th, and it's 12 noon. This is for this week's work, Week 10, Trimester 3. It does not post until tomorrow, Tuesday the 18th. This is for your recording of the live lecture that those of you on Mondays who have class, which is first period, either in person or distance learning, participate in. So here is what the finished artwork will look like this week. That is what this week's finished work looks like. And I'm not going to attend to a lot of the how-to for the music or the story behind that. I'm just going to attend really to just the drawing here, so that this is self-contained in that way. And so, removing my prior art quite literally, at the top today, you will write Week 10 T3 for Trimester 3, and you are titling this Make the Best of what's still around. Make the best of what's still around. That's our title for it. And what we mean about this, in some respect, is the song has a bit of musical painting in it, in that the progression is an ascending progression, and it's ascending one whole step at a time, and it's doing that across 3 root tones. Now this week you can treat this side as your title block by James Bruce, period 5. And just as a reference, the original music for this reports a steady groove being identified in the public record, and that would imply something at around 126 beats per minute. What we really find to be true here in our work this week is we're slowing it down, and we're going to divide this by 2, and so for the sake of our art, just to help us out, we're at 63 beats per minute this week. Worth attending to. Now, we need 3 pitch class space wheels this week. So try to draw those out somewhat evenly. Again here, perfection is not the goal. The idea is to get your body involved in making the physical art, this being a graphic organizer of one component of the overall lecture, if you think about it. So now we have drawn and quartered each circle. Sorry, a bit of butchery. He butchered that lecture. And then we're dividing each of those quarters into 3s. And now each of these are going to be labeled then following C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B. And you're going to continue that pattern on. Now, we do not do the pop culture fast forward here. Reason being is that I am hoping that you do this with me, that you are taking the time to draw this with me. And if you need to pause what I'm doing for you to catch up because I'm moving too quick, that's cool. Or you need to pause me so that you can do it. G sharp, A sharp, and D. And I want to be specific also that here we have our fun stuff with computing. Remember, A sharp is also equivalent harmonically to B flat. All right. Now, this week, the music that we're referencing from the Police, which I'm going to get more into when we cover the performance side, there will also be 5 stabs that we have to draw this week, and those are going to go here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just a reminder again that there are 5 lines in each staff. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then down here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And each one of these is a bass clef this week. We're not getting into all the formalities of the bindings here, but just to say that this is an F. We're going to get into that a little bit this week. Now, the notes that are played in the beginning of this song, the song is, as written as scored, introduces a C major voice initially. The song itself is written in the key of G. And not that we have covered such a thing, but this is the F clef, the first sharp that shows up in our nomenclature. That would, in the original notation, there's a way of us knowing that that's what the key is. But I'm just telling you it now so that you know we're not referencing those elements. So G is a note that we are playing. The song happens to be in the key of G overall, but the initial voice that we're considering is a C major voice. Now, they make a comment in the literature that it's suspended. We're not as concerned about those elements or what that means per se right now, but we do want to make sure we see how this relates to the C major scale. And this is our C major pattern, which is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Okay. Now, from there we have our D major, and again that same pattern of whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And then the last voice that we see in the introduction, or in the pattern, in this looping bass part, is an E minor, and a minor pattern, as we may recall from the Aeolian mode, is here: whole step, half step, whole step. And this week you will need one additional color, because we're going to come back and draw our little star shapes inside with that colored marker, or at the end. That's our last step that we will have today. Now, in the staves that we have drawn, the staves, we are going to label and draw the notes G, E flat, and C. Over here we're going to draw G, E, and C. Over here the pattern that's played twice is A, C, and D. Then at the end there's a pattern of B, D, and E, and at the very end, each of those phrases, they alternate here between these two, which is a B, D, E, and then another E. And we're going to have to draw a ledger line in here, so we're just drawing that in now, so the memory to do it. Right? And now we're going to start here with our notes, and if we were to have them be whole notes, they would look like that. And then if they were to be half notes, then we get to quarters, right? And then we have eighths, and then we have sixteenths. So 16th is a reference here to the G. And there's our tech. I don't know what she's doing here, but I don't like that it did that. So let's try to come back to what that's doing. That closed. Alright. And so now we have our B, which is our second line, but we need to remember that it is flatted. There's our eighth, quarter F. It starts out as a quarter, so that's going to change. And then our C. And so now these become flags, so those are eighths. And then here we have our G again. Two of our flags. We have our B, and the B this time is natural, so we should indicate it that way because it's a change. And then a C, and we tie these two together. We're good there. Again, we're in the key of G. It's good to remember that the perfect fifth in a C major context is G. Sword, right? The grand tone, the perfect fifth in a system that is based on C. And it turns out that that is also the key of the song that we're in. So there's still a reference there to C, and again the earth having its resonance related to C may be relevant to all of this theory stuff. And then C is our space, and then D, and then making these initially look like quarters, but then they are really eighths. And then over here we have our B, D, E, and so B, and then D, and then E, and then again two flags, one staff, tied together. And then over here on this side, we have the similar utility of the B to our D, and then our E. And what we get here is a little bit of a surprise, is this additional E here. And we have one little flag, and then it is dotted. So it has an additional value there of being an eighth plus another half an eighth, right? Another half. And this note ultimately here is E1. And E1 historically is 41.5 hertz in terms of traditional pitch notation. What we need to know, just as a quick aside, is that if middle C is here, in fact, the ledger line above the bass clef, then the ledger line below the bass clef would actually be E2. And we have to account for that in some way. And the way we do is we use this symbol which says octave, and then we're going to make this note that says 8 VB. Octave below means that you're going to play an octave below what is written, because writing a ton of ledger lines would be really difficult and messy. So in each of these cases we're writing 8 VB so that the player knows that even though this is all nice and neat here, that they should be playing such that this low E here is the open string on the bass in traditional standard tuning. Okay, and so C we needed to attend to there, D we need to attend to here, and E we need to attend to here. So we've got those, and we want to make sure that we've labeled each of these notes. So I've got my G, my B flat, and my C. And that really is A sharp, so we're going to leave it at that. And then the G, we got a B and a C. And what we're going to do here is just to notate it a little differently, because we want to really represent one particular shape in this model. So there's that reference, but what we're really focused on as a pattern And I would call it like a constellation, you know, just like a pattern in the heavens as it moves throughout the sky. You're going to notice this pattern is being represented. So the sheet music gives us this, you know, C major sustained, D major sus, E minor, all these terms, and they're great for later on in the context of other theory. But it's not always helpful because it doesn't really show you what's happening mechanically. This is again showing you geometrically what's occurring. So we have this C, the G, and the A sharp. Our next pattern here is an A, a C, and a D, and this is the D. Okay, and then here is the C, and then here is the A. So when we look at it from a patterning, we see this same whole step, giant step. So whole step, giant step, whole step, giant step, and we've moved in the direction of one whole step upwards. We've rotated upwards. We're ascending one whole step each time as we make this change. And effectively, we've played this pattern twice, we're playing this pattern twice, and then we're playing this pattern twice. There's a modification to the introductory pattern and the ending of the pattern, slight modifications to let you know what's happening. And in the middle, it stays the same. So here we have our next pattern, which is our B, D, E, E. We have our D, and we have our B, and then these two are connected here again in our whole step and giant step relationship. Now we are also playing this E1, which is effectively playing E again, the octave below, in a top-down perspective of pitch class space. We wouldn't notice it because we're not showing this as a helix right now. If we were to show it as a helix, it would be a larger circle spiraling outward that would be represented. But we're showing it as a circle right now, not a spiral. And so the only other thing we need to do here is to really highlight the greater patterns that are scored. And that's that. And then this one over here. So these are those greater patterns that we're going to attend to. And then lastly, we will have the need for some color. And what we're going to do there is write in our whole step, half step, those relationships from the tonic, from the C. So whole step, half step, and then whole step, half step. And then we're going to do the same thing from D, from the D. So whole step, half step, and then whole step, half step. And then lastly from the E, so here we were from the C, here we went to the D, and now we're coming from the E. From the E we're going to follow a minor pattern, which would be from the 6th position, starting from the 6th position on a major pattern. So whole step, half step, and here I've written it in too. So whole step, half step, 2 whole steps, half step, and then 2 whole steps again. And there is the finality of this week's art. And I wish you all well. Thank you.